Hi there, I'm Nancy from Black Sheep Knitting in Needham, Massachusetts. Hope all you knitters are staying inside today because it's in the high 80s going into the 90s, and I hope you're sitting with air conditioning or with a fan. Today is Thursday, September the 7th, but this will air on the 9th. In any case, if it gets too hot where you are, you can always come in here because we do have air conditioning.
Which you can hear.
Which you can hear right now. Wanted to read something. There's a wonderful book called Patty Lyon's Knitting Bag of Tricks. And it has wonderful stuff and great illustrations. But I want to read a little thing that she writes that I thought was good for people wanting to be better knitters. So this is in chapter 6, Pesky Problems and Secret Solutions. And it says, don't do it right, do it better, which I think is always a good thing. And she says, as a child, I was never terribly satisfied when my questions of why were met with because, or worse, because I said so. And so when I learned to knit, though at first I did what I was told, it didn't last long. I started to wonder why, or sometimes why not. In this chapter, we are going to embrace both why and the why not. In addition to hearing just because, new knitters are often told you always or you never. I'm here to tell you that in knitting, as in life, there are very few always or nevers. Although when I'm talking about it, I'm going to say one thing that I think always is true. When it comes to joining a new ball, I remember learning two you always rules that did not serve me well. One was you always join a ball at the beginning of a row, and the other one was you always tie a knot in the two yarns. Where to join a new ball depends on your project. If the edge of your project is exposed, like on a scarf or a shawl, it's best to join a new ball in the middle of the row so your edges are clean. If your garment is going to be seamed, then it's best to join at the start of the row so you can always weave in those ends at the seam. The problem, when you use when you use a knot in the middle of a row, keeping that knot to the back of the yarn is hard. It can wiggle its way to the front, and that's not very pretty. A knot at the start of a row might be okay, but knots can lead to false sense of security. When I knit my first sweater, I did what I was told, tied the new ball to the old ball, and kept knitting. After I'd worn the sweater for a while, that knot came loose and ended up with a hole right in the seam. Moral of the sad story, if you're going to tie a knot at the start of a row, make sure you leave long tails. When you finish, you can untie the knot, cross the ends, and weave them in. Or you can try one of my lazy favorites. So what I want to say about this is that this is an always. Always never put a knot in your knitting. And I'll tell you why. You can try a magic knot, and I think that, I haven't tested that over long term, but why would you do that when you can do what is a surefire way of never getting a hole? So what you can do is you can leave long tails, you can tie a temporary knot, and then go back and weave those ends in. Weaving in doesn't show on the other side. It's a sure, proven way to keep your yarn from coming undone. And I just heard an interesting story this morning, and I apologize to the person this is about if you're watching this, but someone said her surgeon husband put in surgical knots, and that she was sure that that would be okay. Well, as it turned out, it wasn't. When the person from the shop went to wash and block the piece, the knots did come undone. So it's just a bad idea. Whether you think you're secure in tying a knot, it doesn't work. It might work for a while with wear, you know, the knot can come undone. But what happens if the knot comes undone, you're left with a hole and no ends because you've made a knot and cut the ends of it. You're left with a hole. One thing that she says in here is that she likes to, if she's done a shawl or something, so that the ends don't show that you weave in, she attaches a new ball in the center. You can do that. What I recommend is to tie a temporary knot in it while you're working so that it doesn't come loose, and then go back and weave in the ends, because you aren't going to see it if it's in the middle of the row. I've always kind of taught people not to do that, to do it on the end, but I think after reading Patty's description, I think, or what she's written about this, I think she's right. You don't want to have to weave in ends down the side, or have something funky on the side of a shawl or a scarf. Also, I do agree with her that if you have something that's going to be seamed, definitely join your new ball of yarn. There is also a way, and I think I've shown it in one of our podcasts, you can, as you're knitting, you can carry the yarn in behind, and I do it every other stitch so that it's basically, it's twisting one yarn over the other. So you can twist the tail, or you can put it on your needle and then go into your stitch and then take it off the needle, and your new stitch will catch it. I'm not prepared today to do a demo, but I can do a demo maybe next time. But that's a surefire way of, an easy way of carrying your yarn across the back, and you thus avoid ever having to weave in any ends, ever. So remember, no knots in knitting. They just don't work, and even if you think they're going to work, they probably don't. So I recommend this book. She's got lots of good information, excellent illustrations, so if you see it somewhere, pick it up. Okay, last week we showed the yarn dash. So Robin dashed out and got some of this color to make the gala tee sweater that we had shown. And what she's done so far, 'cause it's on a big needle, she got both sleeves done. This yarn, by the way, is yummy soft, and you can see the colors are striping nicely. And I like that she didn't, well, she sort of matched it up, but I don't think it matters.
I didn't want to.
She didn't want to, so she didn't do that. And then here is the bottom of the sweater, so she's already gotten this far on the bottom. So, and I don't think she started it right away. Anyway, this is a lot of fun, and it's a quick project, so if you want to make something quick for yourself for the winter, this is it. And you can, I don't know if I showed this last time, but this is a lovely little hat called BSK Fat Dash Beanie. Fat Dash Beanie, yes. And it's one skein of the dash, and we have the pattern in the shop. I just wanted to remind you of the colors that we have in the store. This is called Catskill. This is Adirondack. This one, I think I'd like this one, Cornell. And this one, oh, this is, wait, this says Cornell, that says Cornell? That's wrong.
This is Cornell, that's blue.
No, I think this is Cornell. We have a labeling issue, as we said last week, and we didn't solve it. This is called Rockies. That's a really pretty beige. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to show you is progress. Doesn't look like I've made much progress. I've been working on this for over a month. But this is my cummerbund sweater, V-neck sweater. And I just want to show you some differences. So it's this so far, and I'm on the sleeve. But what I chose to do, they had their method of doing this, ending this, was to do something that is folded up and sewn in. I think that's how it's done. I chose not to do that, and I will demonstrate this in another session, but I chose to do, and this has to be blocked, but I did an I-cord bind off, and I'm going to do that on the sleeves as well. And I thought this might be a nice addition to this instead of the other one. So, but it does need some serious blocking so that it doesn't curl up. I had another sweater on the other day that has an I-cord bind off that I really liked. So this is how far I am. This is a very clever, nicely written pattern, so I do recommend it. And then one other project.
And you did it in the Noro.
I did it in the Noro Akari, which I love. It's cotton and silk and something else. I apologize, but they discontinued this color after I started it in this color. But I got one somewhat similar that you could substitute. I purchased this combo called, I think it's called Mo Slub, from Emma's Yarns, and it's a merino, and they call these little things slubs. And this is a silk mohair, and they're dyed in the same colorways, or sort of the same colorways. And so, as some of you know, I do my own dyeing. So I found, if not the exact same yarn, undyed or something very similar, and I've been dyeing it. But I wanted to show you the pattern that I've made up, and it's going to be our shop pattern for the, no, it's not. I lied. I already have a shop pattern, but it's going to be, this is a shawl I'm knitting. So the sample will be here when I'm having a trunk show at the Yarn Crawl. So you'll be able to purchase, not this exact color, but similar colors. So this is, I'm about 3/4 of the way through this, and it'll get blocked out. I think it'll end up being about 70 inches across, and then,
It looks like boneyard.
yeah, it's just a regular triangle shawl, but at the bottom there will be a large section of garter in this merino slub. Super soft, so you'll be able to get this pattern and the yarn at the Yarn Crawl. So those are two of my, of course, many projects that I have going. Wanted to show you some new yarn. We have had this in the past. This is West Yorkshire Spinners, and we have two things from them. We really like this yarn a lot. It's a sort of a woolly yarn, but great for socks. And I got two colors in that I think are perfect for Christmas socks. So those of you who are starting any gift items for the holidays, these two would be great. This one is number 989, and this one is number 886. And they of course make, this one striped, has a striping pattern, and this one has a bit of a, almost like a Fair Isle pattern to it. But they're very cute. So if you're taking the sock workshop, you could do that, although that's a fingering weight, and I've been telling people in the sock workshop to do a worsted weight, but that could be your second pair. I wanted to show you, we're going to feature some tools that we love. These are called knit blockers, and I've probably shown these before, but I can't block without these. These are, and if you can see, there is a piece of plastic with several pins on it, and it will block a large area at a time. So number one, it saves you time. Number two, you can just push it into your blocking pads, and it covers a greater expanse than just one would do. I love these, and in fact, I think I'm going to buy a second, because sometimes if I have something really big, I need more than one package. This one comes with 12 blockers that have 8 pins, and then a smaller one that just has 12 blockers that have 8 pins and 8 blockers that have 4. So there's 20 in all. So I recommend those. If you don't have them, I would get them. Here's another yarn that we got in. We used to have this, and this is from West Yorkshire Spinners also. This is called Croft. And I made a cardigan with this 2 years ago that I love it all winter long. It's so warm, it's so soft. This is an Aran, they call it an Aran weight, but it's 18 stitches over 4 inches, which we often call a worsted weight. I actually did mine I did the Carby. Sorry, I can never come up with that name. I don't know why. And what I did, I adjusted, it was meant for a heavier yarn, so I adjusted the size that I did to accommodate using a worsted weight. We did a couple of workshops on the Carby, and a lot of people did the same thing. So anyway, these are the color. I love this yarn. So it's a beautiful tweedy yarn. This is, I think this is called Badham, this colorway. This one is called Hillswick. It's got greens and some browns. This one, we probably covered up the name. No. Halor is this. This is some pretty pinks and purples and gray. They all have gray in them. And this one is called Mossbank. I kind of like the colors in this. It reminds me of fall and a mossbank. So anyway,
If you dragged mohair, would you get the gauge?
you might get a bigger gauge. A smaller gauge, bigger gauge, but smaller numbers. If you drag mohair with it, definitely. So you could do that, but it's lovely on its own. I washed mine, and it's just soft, and it'll keep you warm all winter. So I do recommend that. Another yarn that we got in that I think years and years ago we might have had. This is also from West Yorkshire Spinners, and this is Peep Luxury Baby. And it is super soft, and it stripes and great colors. This is a DK weight, and this would be perfect for baby blanket, baby sweater, baby hat, baby booties, anything baby, or adult if you like. This one is, well, these just have numbers on them. This is purples and grays and pink, very sweet. This one is, these are blues. This is called Bubbies. And it's got some turquoise in it. So I guess this had a name. This did. This is Tinkerbelly. Cute name. And this one is called Cherub. Very pretty for a little girl. And this one would go boy or girl. This is called Starburst. So grays and yellows. So I like those a lot. They'll be fun to knit with. And lastly, this is a yarn. I showed you Cirrus, last time, which was a Juniper Moon cotton. It's an Israeli Mako cotton, but this is their worsted weight version, and these stripe and have beautiful colors in them. This one is, and this is a worsted weight, so this would make a great, we had a sweater. I'm not being helpful today because I don't have the sweater with me, and no, it wasn't a sweater. It was a little dress, a little girl's dress, and it was made with this, and it's striped. I don't know where it's gone in the shop, but if I find it, maybe we'll put it on. If I find the name of it, Robin will show it on the video. So this would also be great for a blanket. Baby blanket, and it'd be quick because it's probably on a size 8 needle, and you could knit it up pretty fast. This has about 6% nylon in it. The rest is the Israeli cotton, which gives it a little bit of strength. And I don't think it pills. We haven't seen it pill. So this is called Lotus Flower. Has beautiful colors in it. This one is called Pacific Sky. Love that one. And this one is Prismatic Kaleidoscope. Oh my gosh. Goes in, look at those colors. Aren't they fun and cheery? And then this one's maybe more of a fall color. And this is called Starry Night. So the actual name of the yarn is Cumulus Rainbow. So in the rainbow, I think they have cumulus in solid colors. We used to have that, but we don't any longer. But you could put this with a solid color if you wanted. We have Blue Sky Cotton, which is the same gauge, which would go with it if you wanted a solid. So those are our latest new yarns. I think I've pretty much shown everything that has come into the shop in these last 2 episodes. I wanted to remind you, although you'll see this on Saturday, but we do have a sit and knit on Friday afternoons, and Agnes will be here working on her Andrea Mowry Rhinebeck sweater, tessellated, whatever it is. And so she's here to offer help or support, or just, it's a great time to come and sit and knit. So people usually come in around 3 o'clock. You come a little early if you want. Remember, if it's a great way to beat the heat, although I think by next Friday the heat will be gone. But we love to have people in the shop on Fridays because it's kind of quiet. So it's fun to sit here and you can chit-chat with other knitters and just have a relaxing time. So join us if you can, and we will see you next time. Happy knitting.